Hi, everyone, and welcome to Don't Be a Man About It podcast. Today, my special guest is an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, an extreme athlete, and a coach. I have Marcus Smith with me today to share his story about how he became from a sales director at Adidas, 10 years working in his sporting goods industry, from being a rugby player to establishing his own international health and performance company, the InnerFight. Hi, Marcus.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm looking forward to
Thank you
this.
so much for having me. So how are you today?
Fantastic. I've had an amazing day, actually. It's
That's
yeah,
awesome.
beautiful.
That's awesome. What made it so special?
I woke up this morning, and as I do most mornings, I wake up quite early, and I was awake just before 4. And I had actually today was quite weird because it was rumored that in Dubai last night there was going to be like some announcement of some news regarding restrictions. And I went running early this morning, and literally there was nobody around, and I was just running down the middle of the roads on my own until I was like, oh, maybe there's no one around because they told everyone that we have like a curfew. And literally within, you probably think I'm crazy, but within the next moment, a police car came alongside me, and I was like, oh dear. And I just kept on running, and actually there was no curfew and everything was good. But I had this amazing morning this morning, just running, and I managed to get back in time for my wife waking up and to take her a cup of coffee in bed, which I know she loves. So
Oh my
it's
God,
been
that's so
awesome.
sweet.
Yeah, she loves it. And I always wake up early, so I always make the coffee. And if I can get her before she wakes up, like I was there, I ran extra fast so that I could get back in time. And I knew her alarm would go off at 5:20, and I was there like 5:19. So it was
Just
perfect.
on time, perfect timing. That's awesome. So the second
Yeah.
question would be, which I always ask my guests, Marcus, how is your heart doing?
Yeah, it's good. It worked quite good this morning in a physical way.
Awesome.
But I know exactly what you mean. And I mean, I'm a little bit lucky. I actually monitor my heart from a physical standpoint every day. But I understand that your question is probably a little bit deeper than that, in that we speak a lot about how fulfilled we are in our heart, and through that is a lot of love. And I actually want to relate this back a little bit to my wife, that we sort of have this thing every morning. I wake up, I roll over, I give her a hug, I tell her I love her, and then I go what I'm going to do for the day. And that makes my heart pretty much incredibly full, or very, very full, because it's someone that I've been with my wife now. We met 17 years ago. And yeah, so that really gives me a lot of satisfaction. And also in the, let's put it in inverted commas, the job that I do now, we help a lot of people to live better lives on a number of different levels. And it's not all, okay, we run a gym, my gym here in Dubai, but we help each other mentally as well. And I think that's something we're going to get into, and something that's very important. And so when I'm able to go into the gym and see other people are, let's say, they're filling up their heart. Like sometimes when we get people, their heart's a bit empty, and different things enable us to become fuller. And this is how we reach this level of fulfillment in life. And so I see that every day in people, and it's very motivating for us as well. It's very, and it gives a lot of satisfaction. So yeah, that's also a long answer to a very simple question, but
Which
there
I
we go.
love it. You can see it from my smile, but I love it when you said they fuel their hearts, or they fill their hearts. So it's like a heart fuel station.
Almost, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's like a lot of people will see a gym as a garage for the body, but as you can sort of tell by our brand name is called InnerFight. It's a little
Right.
bit more than that. And we knew from the start, when back in sort of 2004, when I first started helping people, that this was a lot about our mind as well. It's not just about, yes, and I don't think it's a bad goal. Vanity is not a bad goal. Everyone wants to jump out of bed in the morning, go in front of the mirror and look great. Like, and if you don't, call me, because I want to help you to do that, because that is really important. You got to get out of the shower at least once a day, sometimes twice, and if it's less than once, then you're going to stink. So just make sure you get out of the shower once a day at least. and you're going to be naked in front of the mirror, and you've got to love that person that you see. And that's very important. So physical is important, but the mental aspect of fitness on a number of levels, be it the mental aspect of our physical fitness, the mental aspect of our emotional fitness, like how we deal with people emotionally, also a lot of mental side comes into it, and then our sort of professional career as well. So we attack all these different silos at the gym, and that's the biggest feedback that I have from people. Like, we help people's mind get stronger, and the brain is a muscle. So the same, I can train my bicep by doing a lot of bicep curls like Arnie did, and get these huge biceps like Arnie's famous for. I can train my mind, but not often everyone is doing that. And I've always questioned why aren't people exercising the mind as a muscle? Because like all muscles, if we don't exercise it, then it becomes weaker and it goes to sleep, and then we have a problem. And so that's more of a holistic approach that we take to helping people, which I think is super important.
That was quite a strong introduction. I love that. You train people to be more resilient on a mind level, mentally resilient.
Yeah.
Who do you think struggle most when it comes to mental training, women or men?
To be honest, I think there's too much stigma created around, and too much divide created around this. We're all human beings. We all struggle. It has, and we can't argue with this, it has been, let's say, less acceptable in society for men to vent their struggles mentally in the past. But that doesn't mean that one gender struggles more than the other. And this is something that's so important when we're talking on this topic. And this is what I say to everyone. And it's cliched now. Everyone sees it. Like, everyone is fighting their own battles, but everyone is climbing their own Everest. And that's what makes us so unique and so amazing as individual human beings. But it's not a case of it's easier to be mentally aware, mentally fit if you're a male and a female. No, we all face the same challenges. When we're young, we're all scared of the dark. It doesn't matter if you're a boy, you're a girl, you have white skin, black skin, brown skin. It doesn't matter. When they turn the lights out when we're kids, we freak out, and I think sometimes some of these issues, we have to look at it. We're human beings. We all have 2 arms, 2 legs, and we all have a brain, and we have to treat it like that. There's a lot of stigma around gender. Now, as I said, traditionally, we see, or we think, that women are talking out about it more. And we've seen this recently as well. I think the data is there to back this up, and you probably have a lot more thoughts and probably some data on it. But it's not seen. Then we move into this gender thing it's not manly. Well, what is manly? Yeah, it's like, why?
Be a man about it.
Yeah, like, man up. Like, okay, listen, I've used that phrase multiple times. I probably still use it. I don't use it because of the man part, but if I say to someone, man up, they know what it means, right? Like, it's kind of just
the context. I do my best not to use it. But at the end of the day, when you say to a man who is going through some loneliness or depression, or maybe he's having suicidal thoughts, you cannot just tell him to man up and to get over it. This is the part where it really frustrates me, and it really, really aches my heart. So the reason why I asked that question, Marcus, is, do you think, from your experience, from the amount of people that you train, do men have a higher threshold for pain, or it's just that they are more emotionally suppressed?
I don't think either. I think pain, my views on pain are quite simple, is that no one really can explain pain and compare pain one to another. What hurts you, we could say, okay, let's put our finger on this metal, and this metal is now 100 degrees. Okay, so I can hold it there for 1 minute. Does that mean I have a higher pain threshold? Probably not. It might just mean I'm a little bit stupid, because now my finger is completely burned.
Yeah.
So now, that's how I stand on pain. Now, the second part of your question, can you just say that again? We suppress something you said, so I just understand.
Emotionally suppressed.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of men I work with, they go and deal with their emotions at the gym. They
Yes.
hide from their emotions at the gym. They avoid their problems at the gym. And they say, literally, the more I work out, the better I feel. But they're not really dealing with their anxiety or stress or.
Correct. But it's a
You know what
difficult
I
one
mean?
because I know exactly what you mean, but this is not gender specific. There's a reason why a female is at the gym and she's getting the same reaction. But again, it's not what society expects for a female to come back and go, I just went to the gym and all my worries went away. It's like, it's more accepted that I just hung out with my girlfriends and we drank coffee or margaritas for 5 hours and now I feel on top of the world and, you know, fuck that guy, he's an idiot anyway. Like, this is all the stereotypes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why, let's dial back a little bit. Why are people coming to the gym? Why are people behaving in a certain way? They're behaving in a certain way. Some people are coming to the gym, be it male or female, because it gets them away from something that they might be running from, a pain point in their life. It might get them distracted. It might make them feel physically better. Their pain point, if I go back to one of my original examples, the pain point could be, and this is not gender specific, they've woken up too many times in the morning, they've got out of the shower, they've been naked in front of the mirror, and they've gone, I hate this. I don't like what I see. So they're coming to the gym to get past that pain point, to fix that pain point. Everyone's behavior and everyone's emotions are super different. But what we have to understand is that things are happening and people are doing certain things for a reason. They might not really understand the reason they're doing it at the outset. A lot of people are going to gyms because it's a bet that they lost in a pub. Like, it's as simple as that. Or it's a gift that a wife gave to a husband or vice versa for a birthday or a Christmas, and they just feel bad for not using it. So there's behavioral patterns, and the reading back along people's history is really how we get to the root of what motivates people. And that's a lot of work that we do. Now, a lot of this is based on behavioral patterns in our subconscious that we've been holding on to, and we've been training for a number of years, which could be due to upbringing, could be due to environments we've been in, whether that environment is a home environment, whether it's a professional environment. Professional environments can cause mental health issues for males and females. But again, and this is a super important point, society has said for a number of years that men do not have these issues.
Yeah.
And that is a lie, because the way that I've tried to frame that there is the problem is not gender specific. We're all facing the same problem because we're humans, but the way that we're starting to address it, or the way that we've traditionally addressed it, we've made the solution gender specific, but it's not, because we're still in the solution part, we're still human beings. So yes, and hormonally, we could say females and males are made up differently. So someone's going to challenge it from that perspective. I agree. But we still need to let people talk. We still need to ask questions that unlock emotional blockages along the chain somewhere. And that's what I believe it's not been done enough, right?
Even like now, the mental health and the well-being topic, thankfully, have been discussed more in the past few years. More people are giving it attention, and more people are now being aware how important it is. But what comes after awareness is basically taking action. And that's the part where I think there should be more focus on, and more attention to help people to take action, to take care of their mental health and physical health equally, to know and to realize that your physical and mental health comes hand in hand. So that's basically, I think the struggle is still there. Like people
Yeah.
know what to do, but they're not doing it.
I agree and I disagree. I don't think everyone knows what to do because
Not everyone, but most of the people, I think.
I kind of link it like this. When we go to school, they teach us what 1+1 is, and they teach us how to spell our name. And that's really good. But when do we learn how to cook an omelet? We don't. Like,
You get hungry.
well, when we get hungry, yeah. Is the same thing, is that we're taught that we need to be healthy, and we're taught that health is physical. We're not taught this, like a lot of what we're taught, there's certain components missing. And of the last, it's not new. It's just mental health issues are not new.
No.
Just fortunately, they're getting a lot more airtime now. But I also think, and this is where we have to be careful, is that because they're getting a lot of airtime, again, we get stereotypes, and people, males and females, not gender specific, are perhaps a little bit afraid to speak out because it's almost like, and it's not a disease, but it's almost like it's a new disease. It's almost like, and let's use COVID, it's hot topic. You know, when people get COVID, you're like, you've got COVID.
Yes, I know.
It's like, okay,
insane.
you've got COVID.
Insane.
Cool.
I know.
It's like you've literally just told someone you're an alien. So, and that's what we're seeing now. Like at the start of COVID in March and April, like literally you didn't really know anyone that had COVID. And when you did, you'd call them up, mate, are you going to die? Like all of this. But now, you know, we probably all know half a dozen people that have COVID. So it becomes more normal and more natural and a part of our life. And we're at that almost tipping point now where, because of work like people like yourself are doing, because you've dedicated time, because you have an event in your life that's now creating a behavior, it's exactly the same thing. We're creating that awareness around it. And it's almost like a little bit previously, like if you say to someone, yeah, I do some meditation, they're like, whoa, dude, like leave that hippie shit alone. But I mean, the way that I explained my run this morning, I'm in a completely meditative state. I've been meditating in different ways for a number of years, which helps my mental health. I've been spending time in reflection, which helps my mental health. I've had discharge time from technology. I have days off. These all help my mental health. But if we're not consciously understanding the behavior and the effect, run, meditation, positive mental health, etc., then we don't create subconscious thoughts which provoke that activity, which make us realize that it's a massive benefit for us. And this is one of the biggest things, is like, you're not going to get put in a toxic bag if you tell someone you're just struggling with your mindset a little bit. It's not a bad thing to have to say, I think I've got something wrong with my mindset, because like, define mental health. That's what it is. Like, you're just not clear in your mind. Nothing's quite, you know, it's foggy, for example. And yes, going back to the science, we might have chemical imbalances. This is where neuroscience really comes into it. And, you know, if we talk about neuroscience and training the brain and neuroplasticity, actually we can create that just through simple things like breathing meditation. We'll train the brain. And this is where it's like, oh my God, actually, when I was a kid and I stubbed my toe or I trapped my finger in the car door, what would my mum say to me? She'd be like, deep breath. And you think back to all these things and it's like, actually, we've been practicing good mental health subconsciously for a long time. Now we can get conscious about it and reintroduce it, if you want, in the conscious mind, so that the subconscious goes to work and makes it normal. And that's one of the biggest things. It's okay to feel not great. It's okay not to be manly. That's fine. Now, so long as you take some action against it. And this is this is the biggest challenge, and that's why I take my hat off to people like you who are dedicating your time to it, because of the stigma that society has created around this topic. It's carnage right now, and it makes it very difficult, you know. And it almost, like, you speak to some people, and it's almost like, you know, it's like when you tell someone you're going to Alcoholics Anonymous, they're like, oh, I'm not sure about this guy. Like he's crazy, you know. So yeah, it's a crazy time though.
For me, it took me more than 9 or 8 years, almost 9 years, to actually start telling people and to be open about how my dad committed suicide. I used to lie to them and told them it was just a heart attack because I was scared of their judgment.
Why?
I was scared because I come from a place where people are very judgmental. So what would they say? Are they going to give me a hard time? Do they know why? Do I have to explain myself? Do I have to keep protecting my dad's reputation or something? After I was
Why
done,
do you care what other people think?
I used to be one of those people, Marcus. I used to be one of those people who used to think that in a very contradictive way, though. I didn't care what they think, but I didn't want to have that conversation with them at the same time. I'm not in an energy that allows me to answer all of your questions. It's wrong to commit suicide. Why would he do that? That's something very cowardly to do. So these kind of concepts, and I did not have, to be very honest, the right knowledge or the right tools to debate with them or to correct them, if I'm being honest.
So the easiest thing to do is to run away from it, is to hide it, and that's what you did.
Yeah, that's what I did. So yeah, I completely, because whenever you said to say to someone he has depression or he's having suicide thoughts or he has survived suicide, they would say, oh, whoa, I don't want to be around that person. Why you don't want to be around that person? I'm not sure why. I'm not just too comfortable. You know, dude, he's depressed. If you don't know how to help him, here's how. I can help you help. So that's a very valid point. All right, so I want to tell you something, is that out of all your achievements, which is running 30 marathons in 30 beep days. I don't know how you do that. After being hit by a truck, you completed a 50K cycle and a 50K run in 48 degrees heat in Dubai, Marcus, in 8 hours only. And you ran around the track of 24 hours straight, racking up 206.9K. You completed a triple ascent of Mont Ventoux, the Tour de France hardest climb. You ran a marathon, the Sable, at 250K self-supported run across the Sahara Desert, which is widely regarded as the world's toughest foot race. Like, that's really insane. That's really, really insane. So my question to you is, what was your, first of all, what were you thinking to do a 30 marathon in 30 days? And why? Were you trying to prove to yourself something after being hit by a truck? Were you trying to test your body? What were you thinking? Like, really, what were you thinking?
Super simple. The reason I did that is for three things. Number one thing is all about to explore what my body and part of my body. And this is where it's incredible how we talk, because we talk about the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body. We split it. But the last time I checked, I'm fully connected. I'm one, you know? So a lot of the time so I want to see what the potential of my body is. And in doing so, try and help and inspire others to test their human potential. That's reason number one why I do all these challenges.
Okay.
Reason number two is because doing these challenges, you learn an insane amount. I went to a great school. I went to a lovely university. I still try and learn now. But some of the things I've learned through my extreme challenges, there is no textbook for it. No one can prepare you for it. and you're in a situation that's truly unique and you have to figure it out. So there's an incredible learning. And finally, I have three very clear reasons why. The final thing is I want to make my family proud. My parents, my mom and dad, they spent a lot of time and effort in my upbringing to make sure that we had great education, we had enjoyable holidays, we had love, we had a nice home, we had a great life. And they've given me all the tools that I could possibly ask for. I think it would be an awful waste not to make them proud. And the same with my wife. As I said earlier, we've 17 years together, and she supports me and gives me all of her love in every single way that you could ever believe, really. And I think it would be incredibly selfish if I didn't try and make her proud. And they're the three things that I think about the whole time, not the whole time, because a lot of the time I'm in this state of meditation. It's equanimity. Thoughts are coming, thoughts are going when I'm doing this stuff. But really, when it gets tough, I think about those things. I think about what I'm learning right in that situation, how it's going to help me in life. And it does. You know, you could be in a friendship, you could be in a conflict situation, you could be in a business situation. I sit back, I think about what's happening in that situation, why people are behaving in the ways, and then I try and link it to experience I have. I've been doing extreme challenges now for close to a decade, and I link it to some of those experiences. And sometimes I just say nothing because I know that that's the right solution. So yeah, I do quite fun stuff, and they're the main three reasons why I do it.
And normally you were a different person before the truck accident.
No.
You were not. Really?
I was the same person.
So what were your lessons? What were the changes? Nothing at all.
You see, I had my accident in 2018, and I'd already done a number of quite extreme challenges. Some of the ones that you mentioned are pre 2018. One thing that I mean, and so did I start doing extreme challenges because I nearly died? No. I was actually training for one when I got hit by a truck. One thing that was really cemented in my mind and I was forced to reflect upon and think about was really what I call and what I speak about publicly a lot on, which is the ultra mindset, which a lot of the time, and I was a victim of this as well. And I'll share this story with you. I try and make it short so that people can stay focused and I'm not blabbing on and stuff. But basically, when I was in intensive care, I was obviously on a lot of painkillers. So you're asleep, you're awake. And I woke up and I saw my wife there and I was like stressed out a little bit. And she said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Why did this happen to me?" And I started with this regret. And I was like, what if it was different? What if it was this? And, you know, all the questions you ask, like, why am I here? And I wish I wasn't, and blah, blah, blah. And she just looked at me and she said, "It happened." And I was like, wow. And, you know, and since I've thought about that a lot, and a lot of the time we try and deny what's happened. You know, you said it before, you've had a problem with your elbow, you broke your elbow. Like, it's broken. It's broken. You can't trick the mind. And everyone's like, how do you trick your mind? You can't trick your mind. That's not what we're trying to do. So the first step of my approach, the ultra mindset, which, as I said, I've more formalized since my crash, is to just admit that you've got a problem. The second step is super straightforward. It's to reject that problem will stop you from getting what you want in life, in that moment, whatever. And this is not anything new or revolutionary, but for me, the goal that I was training for when I got hit by a truck had to stop because I could no longer ride my bike. But I could still continue with my goal of figuring out what my potential is as a human being. And I've done that. so you can still continue on your path. But for a time being, you might have to go left, then right, then left, then right, then U-turn, then another roundabout, then the traffic lights. It's not life, and I say this a lot, is not linear. It's not straight.
100%.
And so you have to reject the fact that your problem is going to stop you from getting to where you want to get to. The third thing you have to do is you have to just stay relaxed, because we know it. You don't, it's humans are weird creatures, right? We especially in this part of the world, you know, we don't understand someone, or someone doesn't understand us, so we start shouting louder and
maybe they would
slower. Yeah, you know, and it's like we're getting so fired up. Like, you can talk in any tone that you want, but you speak English, he doesn't, that's not going to work. Do you know what I mean? So just stay relaxed. And this is the hardest thing to do. I remember when I was young, my dad would say, just calm down. And of course, human nature, anyone says to us, do that, we do the opposite. All the time. But you have to stay relaxed. You really do. And the fourth and final point, which is probably the biggest thing I can share, is what happened next in that hospital bed. I went back to sleep, and then I woke up maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour later, and it's horrible. ICU is horrible. I've got pipes coming out of my nose. I've got wires everywhere. There's a machine just behind me beeping to make sure I'm still alive. And I looked at my wife and I smiled at her, and she looked at me back a bit funny. And I just turned around to her and I said, you're right. And then I said to her, you know what I'm going to do? And she said, what? I said, I'm going to start training. And like, I'm laid in a hospital bed. I'm not even straight on it. I've broken my left shoulder. I have a punctured lung, so I can't breathe. I have a tube coming in through under my ribs. I've broken 7 ribs. I have a catheter in. I have, you know, it's just a nightmare. Tubes everywhere. And in that moment, I said to myself, what can I do right now to get better? And yes, talking was my therapy, but I knew that I had to fix this shoulder. And I took my hand, which was laid on my lap, my left hand, and I just lifted it off my lap. And I was looking at it like this, and I was like, imagine if I could turn that hand from palm down to palm up. And I looked at it, and it was literally like I was lifting 1,000,000 kilos off the floor. And as I looked at it, I tried my very best, and I rotated it to palm up. And it was like the biggest win I'd ever had in my life, because till that point, I hadn't moved that hand. And then I was like, well, I've got it here. Let's turn it back to palm down. And a long story short, that's how I started my training, because in that very moment, my answer to what can I do right now to make this situation a little bit better was just turn that hand from palm down to palm up. So there are four really, really simple steps that we have to admit that something's up. We have to reject that it's going to stop us from getting to where we're going. We have to stay relaxed. And then we have to ask ourselves, what can I do right now to make it better? And sometimes in life, what can I do right now to make this better? Might be literally shut the laptop down, go for a walk. It might be go to bed. It might be do something that you in that very moment don't think is going to solve that problem. And that's okay, because eventually you will solve the problem if you develop this mindset. And that was really solidified. You know, I mean, folks can hop on to YouTube and watch my documentary around the crash, and I speak about it in detail. It's about an hour long, you know, and all these little things. But when I was laid at the side of the road, when I had blood coming out of my mouth and I was 2 hours from a hospital, unable to breathe, when I've reflected back on all of these things, I'm able to sum them up in literally in those 4 points. And has it made me live my life differently? not really. It's just solidified a mindset that I was thinking about. I didn't, and this is one of the things in 2018, you know, I ran my 30 marathons and everyone's like, oh, did you do it just because of your crash? I was like, no, like I didn't do it because I don't do things out of anger and frustration and stuff like that. No, but am I proud of the fact that I was able to run 30 marathons in 30 days, 6 months after being in intensive care? Yeah, I'm super proud of that, you know,
We're all proud
and
of that.
yeah, it's
Yeah. Wow. I really got emotional because it really requires very strong mentally power to do what
mm,
you've done. And the fact that while still on your hospital bed, Marcus, you took the decision to do that training says a lot about you. And you are right to say you are an inner fighter. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's more to say it's inspiring. It's a very understatement. Like I
thank
cannot
you.
find the word. And I was trying to find a question to ask you about what is life look like for you after near death? Is it surviving? Is it thriving? Is it creating? So you just said the answer, which is just accept, reject, create, and be stay calm, be relaxed.
Mm,
As simple as they may sound, they do require to show up every single day to make that decision to do better as 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 much as you can, especially with
mm,
turning your hands and your palm upside down.
yeah,
Thank you, Marcus. What
thank you.
would you say? That is my last question to you. For all the people who would still not fully aware in how to support men in our society, in all over the world, for men who are depressed or having a tough time, because I do know a lot of my male friends who are going through a tough time, but they're really not being supported or comfortable enough to talk about it because they do not have the right support system around them. So what would you say on that?
I mean, there's a couple of different answers to it. I think as human beings, we need to understand that we're all very different,
Mhm.
and everyone is, like I said very early on, everyone is fighting his own battles or her own battles, and everyone is climbing a different Everest. You're all incredibly unique. So don't care what anyone else thinks. And I think I was brought up on this with my dad, never cared what other people thought in a nice way. Yes, if my mum gave feedback, he was respectful of that and received it quite well. But it doesn't matter because that person is not you. They're not fighting your battle. We all have struggles. Ultra life, the life that I'm in, ultra marathons that I do, 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down. The ones that get through life in the best way, ultra marathons, whatever it is, know how to react when they're down and know how to react when they're up. And I think finally, which this is lost a lot in society these days, when someone talks, listen to them. Just listen. It's so important.
That's 50%.
And realize that sometimes what they're saying might just be words. There's something deep behind. And if you're a good listener and you ask the right questions, you're going to help that person to get that stuff to the front. And it's not, you're not going to have people crying on your shoulders. I don't have a lot of people crying on my shoulder, but I have a lot of people doing a lot of incredible things because we're able to ask the right questions, flick the right switches. And the way that I say it, and this is probably a great way to finish up, is we just help people set themselves free from themselves and live amazing lives. And that's what we were all put here for. So if you're listening right now, I don't care actually if you're a male, if you're a female. I said it at the start, this is not gender specific. Figure out a way to unlock yourself. If that needs someone to help you, get that support network in place. If you're doing it for someone else, listen and just go and live an awesome life. Wake up every morning, look at yourself in the mirror and literally go, this is going to be the best day of my life. Because trust me, it could be if you're ready for it.
Amen. Amen to that. Marcus, it was a pleasure having you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, to listening to this, and I'll see you very soon.